The topic that I want to talk about today is what I wish I knew, right? What I wish I knew is kind of a very broad topic, right? You could be like, well, what is it that you wish you actually knew about? And if I'm being honest, it comes down to a lot of factors in life, right? It comes down to life decisions. It comes down to the recognition of you are your own person and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others, right? That's one of the things. So let's break that one down real quick. When it comes to not comparing yourself to others, we tend to do that because we have this preconceived notion that we need to be somewhere already when we're perfectly fine where we are. Once you embrace the fact that you are where you are meant to be, life gets a lot easier and you actually are able to start thinking about what you can do to get to maybe a goal that you want to accomplish. Another thing is not everyone's for you. And it's kind of a harsh reality, especially at a young age, to understand. But, me being 28 now, I do completely understand, and I figured this out many years ago, that not everyone is for you. Some people have different motives as to why they're in your life, and some people are just not a perfect mesh. They don't fit well. Another one is focus on your goals and passions, right? Like figure out what that is. And the only way, if I had to give some advice on it, the only way to find out what your goals and passions are is to actually accept where you're at, right? So, what I mean by that is when you get to a point where you're having to kind of accept, okay, this is my present moment. What are the things that I want to accomplish? Well, that's just that. You have to focus on the present moment and actually accept, okay, this is my life right now. What do I want it to be in the future? And that's one of the things that I can say is one of the most difficult things that we're going to talk about today. Um, Another one is that when it comes to just say dating, right? I think that dating just to date is pointless. It kind of just wastes your time. And as a younger man, I did do the the opposite. I did date just to date, and it kind of wasn't for a gain, really. I mean, the majority of the time it was just I found this person attractive and I wanted to date them and see how it went, but it wasn't looking for a relationship, a future partner. And that's one of the things that you have to learn, but the only way you learn is by trial and error. Another thing is that meaningless sex is pointless. I've had my fair share of sex, and I understand that sex is great. There's nothing wrong with sex. It's awesome. It's a good time. But when you find someone that you have a connection with and you're able to understand that person and their body and they understand you and your body, it becomes so much more than just sex. It becomes a connection of two beings understanding what makes the other person tick. And it can become very romantic and very passionate. Um, Another thing, this kind of goes back to the not everyone is for you. Set boundaries properly, right? And the way to set boundaries are determine the type of relationship it is, right? If it's a friendship, a professional relationship, a partnership, or you're dating someone, or just a familial bond, right? So, like parents, a lot of times people have this preconceived notion that you have to listen to your parents. You have to do whatever they say or you have to agree with them. And that's not true. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to agree with everything that they tell you to do, and you don't have to agree with what they say. You are an individual. Now, I understand, well, what if I'm not old enough to talk back, or what if I'm not old enough to support myself yet, or what if I can't support myself due to, lack of financial stability? Well, you can still have these views and you just might not entertain the types of conversations that your parents have, or you may not entertain the actions that they perform. Now, you could try and influence them in a different way and give them some ideas to kind of change their minds. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so the first ever Keep in Tune live. And here we are. So today, I wanted to try something new. I wanted to see if this would be something that you guys would be interested in doing, being able to chat with me and talk about topics that are of interest not only to myself but you know, of interest to you. And as you could see in the description, it says that we're going to be talking about the what's something that's been weighing on your mind heavily, right? Hey, Gumby, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. Hello, Graveyard Boy. How are you? Welcome for stopping. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome for, yeah. I can't speak right now, but anyway, thank you. So yes, I'm going to talk about something that's weighing on your mind lately. So how about you guys, the viewers? What's something that's been weighing on your mind as of late? Something that you feel has been hard for you to deal with. I think it's important to be able to speak freely about it because that's really the only way to kind of work it out. Sometimes you need somebody to talk to get to know your situation, right? Now, like when you're talking about it, you don't have to go into super detail, but if you want to give like a brief description, that's always a great thing as well. And then we can kind of dissect it and go about it. Maybe some of the experiences that I've had in my life will be helpful towards you, right? It might give you a different perspective. And that's all I'm about for this, right? This type of podcast is all about different perspectives and gaining new knowledge and maybe even giving myself a better understanding of things. And that's why I try to do as much of my own self searching as well as researching other things, right? Looking into um, other people's types of like podcasts or their topics and how they think about them or how they feel about it, right? I think it's important to get to know all the types of perspectives because once you become so boxed in with your thoughts, it kind of just it becomes toxic. You become a toxic person if you just completely disregard anybody else's beliefs or thoughts for that matter. I think it's important to take it in and experience it. So if you have anything that's been weighing on your mind, let me know. Finances always seems to never be able to get ahead. Okay, that definitely comes down to just like where your life is, like what your life is like families, like family size, and things like that. Also, America is expensive. Like everything is just so expensive, and there's really like no easy way to put it to fix finances. But if I had to give any advice, and obviously like I don't know um your financial situation, but like there's always for me, I try to now implement because before I was kind of messing up. I can say that I haven't been the best with my money, but I try to give myself like a weekly balance to spend, right? And it's difficult at times because you don't know. You can't plan for emergencies. So it comes down to that. Like try to give yourself a certain amount of financial buffer for the week. So like if you can, $200, right? You can only spend $200 this week, you know, for or like $100 on excess, right? So obviously not like necessaries like groceries and gas. Like that's gonna be a random amount, depending on what you purchase, unless you have a specific store that you're able to purchase certain things, right? But it also depends on how you want to get ahead. Like, do you want to get ahead to just feel comfortable? Do you want to get ahead to be able to do more things? Is there something about it, right? Is there more to it than that? Um, like, because financial freedom is always a big thing. Like, that's what everybody strives for. So, you never know. Let's put on some music in the background. I think that would be a good idea as well. Hold on. Let's do that. Let's do that. Sound. All right. So, hold on. We need to adjust that. But yeah, finances are always a big thing. Like for me, I just stopped doing things. Like that's the only downside to it is like it's so restrictive, especially like when you're paying rent and trying to buy food, and if you have kids as well, you also have to make sure that they're good, they have things that they need, clothes, things for school or whatever it may be, and also food. That comes into play too, so it's difficult. A sneak peek of ASMR, if you're gonna do it. I have to take off the foamy. You might hear it. It might be a little loud. Oh god. Let's see. Is it that sensitive? That's my nails running on it. Oh, that felt weird on my nails. That was very weird. That was super weird. But why the tear? Why the tear? Tim, why the tear? Um we're gonna browse 35,000 tracks. Whoa. Let's see if you can hear it. Lo-fi. I wonder if they have that. I gotta log in now. You love it? You love the nails? Oh my god. You mean it? Yeah. Oh, how about this? Let's go to the so what else is going on? Like what else has been weighing on any of yours mind like lately that's been difficult? Like what has been hard for you to I guess accept or deal with? Something you've been struggling with even. They have lo-fi Christmas beats. That's all they have. Oh, let's see. Dark, laid back. Does this have lyrics in it? I don't know. Oh, that's loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There it is. I have a license for this music, by the way. Just letting you know. Epidemic Sound. So, letting people go. That's a big one. Okay, so letting people go is. So, would you say it would be more of a friend? Or would you say it's more of a like family member, partner? I mean, there's a lot to that, right? What would you say? Would you say person, family member, friend, partner? Because there, like I said, there's a lot that I can delve into if I can identify what person, like what kind of person it is. Also, can you hear the music? If you can, great. If it's too loud, let me know. Ugh. Because if it's say it's like a family member, right? Letting go of a family member is always going to be difficult because you think they're always going to be there, right? You think that they're going to be they were meant to be there, right? And you're given this idea from a young age that family you can never let them go, right? Okay, so all right, so we'll start off with the family. So you're raised with this notion that you can't let go of family, right? You shouldn't be experiencing them anymore. Like that's not how it works. They're always going to be there. And when in reality, that's not true. Like sometimes you do have to let go of family because if they are deteriorating your mental health, like I'm sorry, but the idea of family isn't the same as it was many, many years ago, right? I would say the idea of family started changing around like the early 2000s because there's just been such an influx in mental health growth and um, you don't need the closeness and the close knit style of a family as people might have thought, right? So like a lot of times people's parents will be very toxic and abusive, and it takes time for you to understand that, obviously not mostly once you become an adult, right? That's when it becomes the biggest factor, and you're able to think for yourself and you get away from it all, and you can experience life without them around. And then you notice, like, why do I always feel like this way? Like, why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel distanced from them, or I don't feel the need to talk to them all the time? And it comes down to the fact that they made you feel like controlled, really. And that can leak into relationships, personal relationships with friends. It can leak into romantic relationships. And you kind of sometimes feel the need to control that person. So you're like, okay, I didn't have control over myself when I was with my family, so I'm going to start to control the person that I'm with. And then you start trying to control your friends as well, trying to get them to do things that they don't want to do, right? Or like, say you want to have them do something for you and they're busy. You try to guilt trip them because that's all you know. You were raised in a household of abusive parents who guilt tripped you into doing things because they were like, oh, well, I'm your parent and you're supposed to help me and you're supposed to do all this stuff, right? And okay, so let's head on to the dating one, right? So high school sweethearts. All right, Gambi. So high school sweethearts is an interesting one. So for me, I didn't really get the chance to have a high school sweetheart. I was a very insecure young man, and never really attempted the dating pool, right? And if I did, on the rare occasion, it would fall back on me. But I will say that high school sweethearts can apply to even just your regular dating life now as you get older. So when you're dating somebody in high school, right, and like you're feeling them a lot, like you're in love with them, and it's just you have a conceived notion of love, right? Because you're doing everything that you see through what is being spoken to you through like social media or what your parents tell you. And I'm not gonna lie, love is subjective. So to get over a high school sweetheart, you have to understand that at a young age, you're still learning about love. You're still learning what it's like to date, to be with someone other than a family member. And you're trying to understand the concept of love. But the only experiences of love that you've had could be like from your parents, siblings, and honestly, this is going to sound a little bit ridiculous, but even a family pet, right? Like the unconditional love from a family pet. So you're trying to understand it. And I will tell you right now, if it didn't work out with your high school sweetheart, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It does mean, though, that now you get another chance at finding out what love actually is. Hey, Pat. And once you're able to give yourself those multiple chances, right, it's going to hurt. It's going to be difficult to get over, but you need to look and self reflect like, okay, what was our love like in that relationship? Is it something that I want for the rest of my life? And can I see myself dealing with that person for the rest of my life? And honestly, to get over it as well, work on journaling. Write letters to your ex and never send them. Because once you continue to let the intrusive thoughts invade your mind, it gets much harder for you to get over it, right? You can't let it die off if you don't get it out, right? If you have the opportunity, I would also say seek therapy. A therapist will help you really grow as a human and be able to decipher those thoughts and break them down into something manageable rather than them being so gigantic in your mind. Like, I know from personal experience that when I lost my most recent partner, I went into a huge downward spiral. And the only things that really helped me was, one, I actually put myself into the same experiences, like same places that we would go to. Like, I would go to this one diner that we frequented, and the first time I went, it was hard, right? But you need to experience the same things that you did with that person and make new memories, to suppress those old memories. And again, journaling, even doing, if you wanted to, just audio recordings, or even make a podcast about it. Talk about your dating life. People love to learn how to relate and learn how you may have dealt with it as well. So I think that your best bet right now, let's break it down into the steps. I would say experience the same things. It's going to hurt when you get there and do the same thing that you used to do, but experience the same things. Journaling, potential therapy if you have that option, right? And also talking about it, right? I would say talk about it with friends. Obviously, don't make it the constant topic of conversation, but like if they're saying like, hey, how are you feeling today? Say like, you know what, I'm really thinking about this person and it's making me have difficulty carrying and moving forward. And I'm telling you, it will benefit you. Obviously, you don't have to go into super detail, but definitely be like, hey, like this is how I'm feeling today. This is why I'm acting this way. When it comes to friendships, it's kind of similar, but without the romantic, right? So when it comes to friendships, there's not like that infatuation, right? There's not that deep-seated and deep-rooted love, because love is technically a chemical, right? It is a chemical imbalance in the brain, and it's been proven that it gives the same feelings as cocaine and I think meth or something like that. I might be wrong about that, but I know they said it's very similar to cocaine or heroin and stuff like that, right? One of the drugs, and it when you lose it, you tend to like go into a deep like withdrawal. But when it comes to friendships, you don't have that, right? You can love somebody like a familial love as a friend, and that comes down to going back to like your family members and stuff like that, and like realizing how toxic they were. And you have to look at the person as a whole. Like, are they learning from their experiences? Are they learning from their failures? Are they changing, or are they staying the same? And it's going to be difficult as time moves forward. But when you grow as a person, you're going to lose people. And that's just life. No matter where you are in the world, no matter where you are in your career or whatever successes that you're completing, you're going to meet different people and you're going to gain new people in your life. Now, there will be people who you will not fall out of, right? Fall out of friendship with, and you'll still be like, you picked up, you literally like could be 10 years from now, but you message them, you know, every once in a while, and it's like you never stop talking. But some people you just have to understand aren't going to be beneficial for you in the future, right? And I can say that I have friends who I can literally just say like, hey man, how's everything going? And it's like we didn't stop talking for X amount of days or months or whatever. So when it comes to friendships, I definitely think you need to also self-reflect as well. Look within yourself and where have you gone, right? Like how much growth have you completed? What are the things that you implement into your life now that your friend isn't? Or if they're being self-deprecating, right? They're hurting themselves and like creating just pain for themselves. I think it's better to actually go and let them go, right? Because they may come back and try to say like I was wrong, but if their actions don't support the words that they're telling you, they're not meant to be in your life anymore. So that's a huge thing. Yeah, so that's really my interpretation when it comes down to, when you have to let go of family members, when you have to let go of partners. Definitely the high school sweethearts, how to get over them. That is like a very early stage in your development of dating and relationships and love and your understanding. So that's they don't always work out, right? And some people that do, they are able to grow together, but sometimes we don't grow with people, and that goes into the friendship aspect. Well, here we go. Is this person growing? No. Am I growing? Yes. We don't mesh anymore, and that's just the truth of the matter. So now let's see. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about that we can break down? Like, this is obviously all my opinion and all my own just life experiences coming out within this video, within this live stream. So I would love to definitely hear more of what you have to say if you're willing to hear me out about it. But we'll start off with going on to the next topic that I added into the description today. So this one is, um, hold on one second. Okay, so today's dating culture, right? So personally, I think today's dating culture is absolutely toxic, right? It's insane to me how so many things are happening within our dating culture just based off the fact that social media exists, and like how often people are willing to cheat on their partners now, and the unrealistic standards that are put on both genders that don't make sense, right? So like, um, when you're dating as a man, right, and you just want somebody who's going to be there for you, listen to you, um, and not judge you for when you're having a rough day. Now, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of men don't tend to express their emotions heavily. And I think that comes down to the whole social media thing where people are saying that, oh, every time I've expressed my emotions, women say they want an emotional guy, somebody who's willing to talk about how they're feeling. And then the moment you do, it's used against you, right? And that is true for some women, right? It's not all. There are some women who actually do truly want to devote themselves to the person and be willing to listen to how that person feels. But some women are not emotionally mature enough. And that, let's switch over to the male side. When it comes to men, a lot of times men, when they're dating, they get it a little bit skewed. They'll date somebody just because they find them physically attractive, but there's no moral similarities. There's no ethical similarities. There's no life goal similarities. Right now, obviously, similar is the key word here, not exact or exactly alike, because similarities slash differences, right, are important when it comes to dating. Because I just had a conversation about this with my friend Noah and Sean, and we were talking about how um, being too alike or too similar creates problems, right? Because it's like, okay, well, there's no new, right? There's nothing new coming out of this. I'm not getting stimulated, right? And you want to be able to kind of have discussions with different ideals and kind of come to either a middle ground or like learn something new, right? You don't have to agree with it, but you can be like, okay, I see your point, and just have, proper discussions. Because dating isn't just like being together, it's actual work. That's one of the things that people don't understand, is that dating is hard work, and it takes time. It takes a lot of dedication to that person. You need to be willing to go through the ups and downs, because relationships aren't linear. They are literally going up and down a mountain constantly. You're constantly battling and struggling. You're going to have your lows, but those lows, after you get done with them, that high is going to be amazing, because you made it through that low with that person that you love and they love you. And, especially when you want to bring a family into this world, right? Like create a family. That, I can't really speak much on family, but as a man who does potentially want kids, I know that giving a lot of yourself to your partner and your children is important. You need to be willing to take the time to spend time with the family you've created and show them the love and be the difference in who you wanted as a parent when you were younger. If that is something that, you were looking for, a different type of parent. And remember, every generation is a new chance to change generational curses or generational just actions. And you could be that difference. So the more you go about working toward the relationship and working toward your family and just becoming the best version of who you wanted, I think that's beautiful. And I think that you can do it if you really set your mind to it. And you can be just on top of the world. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many things you own. It comes down to the love that you can provide your family, yourself, and that's it. I mean, I think it's super important. And I think today's dating culture doesn't see it that way. They don't see dating as a constant battle for the rest of your life, right? It's a companionship, it's a partnership. It's not a one-way street. You don't get everything that you want. You don't give everything that they want, but you work to make it work. And I think that's a beautiful thing as well. So, if that resonated with you, I hope you liked it, because I think that's it's an important factor to have in your life, is just accepting the fact that you have to put in the work if you want to make it work. And if that other person isn't putting in the work, then you know where to go from there. You know it's time to just call it a day. Um, you know, obviously not the first time or whatever, but if it's a consistent thing, you need to just be like, you know what, I need somebody who's going to be willing to be there and work on this family together and work on us together. I can't keep giving my all and not getting anything in return. And I like to look at it as like baseball. You got 3 strikes and you're out. And I feel like even 3 strikes is too much. But I've learned from my past, and I've learned from the relationships I've had not to do that, and not to continually give and give and give and give and not receive things that I need as well, right? Because I may not get everything I wanted, but I definitely wasn't getting the bare minimum, and I deserve that and some more, just as much as everybody else deserves more than the bare minimum. But the bar is set so low. The bar is set so low for today's dating culture. I mean, it's crazy. Like, oh, I just want somebody who will spend time with me and go on dates and watch movies and like lay with me and just have lazy days. I'm sorry, but that's bare minimum. Like, you should be able to do that regularly. Like, what about the fact that like I want to be able to have a conversation with somebody about things that really mean something to me, these deep conversations that like can create emotions, create feelings that you didn't realize you had, and be able to like grow as a person together, like emotional maturity together, and like structure, like create a structure together, a future structure, and implement it into your guys' lives. I think that is some more than the bare minimum stuff, if you ask me. And I think it's super important. I think it needs to be spoken about more, instead of, I just want somebody who gives me attention, who breathes in my general direction. Like, don't be settling for the bare minimum, but also don't ask for someone to give you the world, because that's unrealistic. Just be willing to work with your partner, and just do that. Just be willing to work with them. Also, work on your like mental health issues too. That's a big thing as well. Like, seek therapy if you're continually feeling a certain way, because I think that's also a huge step. Yeah. So let's see. So, does social media help or hinder relationships? Social media is a cesspool filled with toxicity and multiple different ideas and beliefs. And you need to know that not everyone thinks these ways. Like, yeah, sure, they may have hundreds of thousands of views, but there's like 8 billion people in the world. I think 300,000 agreements or 100,000 likes, right? I think that's a pretty small percentage if you really put it into the grand scheme of things. But people believe it. They see such a big number. They're like, oh my God, that's crazy that this many people believe that and think that. Okay, that's 100,000 people. And if you're thinking about just in America, right, that's 350,000 or 350 million people, 350 some million people. So 100,000 isn't a lot. Why are you settling for less, Tim? That's not good. Settling for less means that you're willing to give up things that you deserve. Now, that's not cool, man. You deserve a lot. You deserve way more than you think you do. Unless you're trying to be silly, then. But just being honest, I think that if you don't think you deserve more than the bare minimum, then you got another thing coming, because someone's going to come into your life one day and they're going to show you like, oh shit, this is what I was looking for. Cool. So I think that's important. Just be willing to be there. Just be in the moment. Don't think about their past. Don't worry about what they did in the past because they're there with you now. And that was one of the hardest things I had to get over is thinking about their past. And a lot of people think about like, oh, how many partners have they had in the last X amount of years before I knew them? And that shouldn't matter. They're with you now. That just creates unnecessary insecurities that will drown you. They drowned me. I know that. But social media is a cesspool. It is filled with nonsense. And I think that when we move forward in social media and with this, community that I'm trying to build, I think that it's important that we understand that dating and social media do not mix. Absolutely, Sean. You shouldn't settle. You should always want someone working toward your relationship. You should always want somebody working towards your relationship. I think that's one of the biggest and most powerful things you can tell yourself. It's like, I want somebody who's willing to put in the work. No silliness here. No, Tim, you deserve more than the bare minimum, 100%. But yeah, Sean, like I think that it's important to understand that you deserve somebody who's willing to work on it every day for the rest of your lives. And if they don't, then it might be time to reevaluate. Like if they're constantly creating these false ideas or false thoughts and them to be false, sit down, talk with them, tell them these things, express how it makes you feel, but also like within a way that isn't like attacking the person, right? And that takes practice, obviously. But yeah, and like the other day, I saw this podcaster talking about how does body count matter when it comes to women, or like why do women post on social media? Let's throw that body count thing out of there. That goes back to me saying don't care about what they did in the past. It doesn't matter. And this whole para bonding thing that people are talking about is just ridiculous. It's not necessary. But we'll go into the whole what is it? I had the thought and then I lost it. I hate that. Well, it was there. He was talking about, said the body thing, and then, well, this sucks. There goes my mind. But whatever. So social media, all that dating nonsense, and how it like doesn't work. So, oh, there we go. Got it. We're back at it. So what it comes down to is the topic I want to say with the social media is like, does it matter if you're like, why do you posting on social media, right? Like, what is your reason for posting? There's a lot to that, right? There's a lot to why people post. And, the podcast was talking about how, women post for attention. And it's like, if they're in a relationship, right? And it's like, oh, no, I post because I feel good in this. I feel comfortable in this. Or like, I, really like the way I look. That's great. That's fantastic. Right. And then they were saying, oh, well, why don't you just save that and send it to your partner? And we live in a society where social media is a huge influence on everybody. And when you get likes, I don't care who you are, when you see likes on your thing, you get a rush of dopamine. You do. You get a feeling of euphoria. You're like, oh, this person likes how I look, or likes the dress I'm wearing, or likes the post that I posted. It's just a rush. And so when people say, well, you should just save it and post it to somebody, like, okay, but your partner, you send it to your partner. That's great. And your partner's going to hype you up and tell you how beautiful you look. But it's like kind of an external validation thing that you're looking for, right? You want that, like, okay, my partner, like, technically they're supposed to say I look good, which I think that in a relationship, you shouldn't just be telling your partner that they look good just because. Like, give them compliments when they're genuine. And I think that comes into like why people are posting on social media, because they feel that their partners are meant to say these things, meant to say that they look good. And they're not. Like, your partner can tell you if something looks like off and stuff like that. And I think that would be more constructive for you, right? Because like you want to make sure you look good and you want to make sure you're feeling good about yourself. So if your partner can say like, hey, this color, like blah, 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 or whatever, I think that's important. And you should be able to take that as more of a constructive criticism rather than based on how you look, right? So it doesn't matter if that's like the huge issue here. But I brought that up because I think that's something that we need to understand. Um, Posting on social media is for attention. It is. That's what social media is for, to gain traction. You know, some people use it for business. Some people use it for this, like what I'm doing. They use it to post their brand and, you know, videos and clips and stuff like that. And I think that's fantastic. If you're doing it to benefit yourself, perfect. But I think that when it comes to just a regular person, like in a relationship, and you know your partner has boundaries, right, or insecurities that they're actively working on, I say it would be wise to at least let them figure themselves out and get the help that they need to benefit them, right? I think it would be ideal for them to get over their insecurities, and then you can start posting and stuff like that. I think if you post and like have all these people commenting under it and you know that your partner is insecure, I think it's a bit disrespectful and all of that. So, but I digress. You know, it is what it is. So what else? What else is going on that you guys would like to talk about? What's a topic that really is hitting home lately? I'd love to hear what you have to say. I think it's important to get everyone else's views and how they're feeling because, like I said, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a community to get to know you guys and all of that stuff. So please tell me more. And if you're not willing to mention anything or express how you're feeling, then that's fine. I don't blame you. It's difficult to open up about things, but you never know. Also, if you're really enjoying these types of streams, please be sure to like and subscribe. Head on over to the YouTube channel, or if you just want to see clips and stuff like that, head over to Instagram. You see the name right there in the bottom. I would say that's your left corner if you're watching it. And also, you know, we got the old book face right there. Ooh, this sounds like a good song. Also, let's break down the most recent episode that just came out. Right. Let's talk about the quote. Right. Um, so no one will ever know the violence it took to become this gentle. Right. And that quote itself has a lot to it. Right. There's a lot behind that quote, a lot packed in it, and a lot of people have their own interpretation. Right. So my video, the recent video that just was posted today, breaks down my interpretation of it. But what would your interpretation be? What would your interpretation be of that quote? No one will know the violence it took to become this gentle. Let me know. I'd love to hear it because I know mine. And if you want to know mine, it's on the YouTube video that's on my channel. I really like that one, and I've got a lot of good feedback from like friends and people that I know on other socials about it. I think it would be really great for you guys to check it out, and you know, maybe you'll learn something about it. Maybe you'll form a different perspective than the one you already have. Is the music better, Tim, right now? Because I like to have some music in the background so you guys can be chilling and listening to music as well. We're here for a relaxed atmosphere. We're not here for any, you know, toxicity. So you let me know. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. So Tim, what's your interpretation of that quote? Or Sean? Or if you're still here, Pat, Gumby, if you're still here. What's your interpretation of that quote? The no one will know the violence it took to become this gentle. How do how would you break that down? Hey, I like this. I like chatting with people. I like getting to know, you guys and talking about topics that are of interest to you as well. And if you find these topics interesting, I think it's important. I think talking about social, I guess, ideas is important to understand like why we're going through this social kind of change. And I think we're going to go through a revival here soon. Maybe not, maybe not within the next 5 years, but I would give it another probably 10 years of dealing with this nonsense. So, um, yeah. And I don't know. I just think it's just something that we're gonna have to deal with for years to come. I truly do. Hmm. It's a sad reality, but it is just what it is. There's so many times, so you know the feeling and wouldn't want anyone else to go through the same pain I did. Oh, you're fine. I could read exactly what you're saying. Definitely, man. I can definitely see that. The feeling and wouldn't want anyone else to go through the same pain I did. I definitely see that. I definitely see how you could interpret it that way. And yeah, like you don't want people to feel that pain, but you can also, for to add to that, you can also say that like because you know what that pain is like, you can also understand why people are going through pain, and then you can also interpret that pain if it ever comes back to you, and be able to overcome it just by how you know how to deal with it because you've dealt with it before. So I definitely like the way you said that though, because yeah, you don't want people to go through that same pain because you know how debilitating it is and how much it can break you down. So, hell yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, if things don't pick up here in the next like 10 minutes, we'll probably call it. But I think it's important that we continue. Or you've been hurt so many times, so it doesn't really matter anymore if they do it again. I always think if someone's going to cheat, you aren't going to be able to stop them. It's whatever at that point. I absolutely agree. So you've experienced the hurt and you know how to feel and what to do when or if it does happen again. Definitely. If a different person does it, it doesn't matter. You've been there. Right. Like if it's a new person, like a new relationship, a new person, a new partner, definitely. And it's like, okay, well, I know how this made me feel before, but I got through it. But again, so yeah, okay. I mean, for me, like when it comes to the being cheated on, like as both of you know how I was cheated on and what happened to me in my situation. Um, I look at it as now you just need to realistically like understand your partner, right? Like what type of yeah, been there, done that. No, for sure. Um, but you need to like know who your partner is. Like they're I guess I'm not saying that you don't know your partner, right? Um, because obviously you do. You know the ins and outs of them. You know how they act and all that stuff. But the whole cheating thing for me is like you interview that person. You get to know them. You talk. You look for the subtle hints that could identify that they are potential cheaters because it does statistically say, right? No, absolutely. Like that's it. You just end it right there because cheating is an instant end to the relationship. I don't care who you're dating. I don't care how strong you thought that relationship was. Obviously, it wasn't strong enough for that person to actually stay faithful, respect you, respect your boundaries, and respect the relationship in a whole. Right. So, but like then moving forward, when you do find somebody new, you have to kind of look for the subtle hints as to, okay, like if this person has dated X amount of people, right? And each time they say that the person that was their ex was crazy, or that the person was super controlling, I think that people get controlling and boundaries misconstrued, right? So like in a relationship moving forward, personally, I wouldn't want somebody who you have to cook them in the sheets so they can't. Oh my goodness. No, for sure. For sure. Definitely sexual satisfaction is important when it comes to relationships, because a lot of times, um, but you also have to work on the outside of the bedroom connection too, right? So that outside of the bedroom connection is what makes that inside the bedroom connection that much better. Why do people let themselves get cheated on and stay with said partner? No, absolutely. They're silly as hell. Like, so what it comes down to is that a lot of people feel like they can't get out of it, or they feel like they truly do love that person. But if you're willing to cheat on that person, you shouldn't be with that person. And like, yeah, okay, I don't have kids, so I can't really say, you know, what it's like to be in a relationship with kids and be cheated on. But at the end of the day, if you're in a broken relationship like that, and you've already gotten to the point where, like, say you actually fell in love with the person you're cheating on your partner with, if it's been going on that long, the relationship that you have with your current spouse, it's over. It's not there anymore, because you're so out of it. You're not putting any effort into it. You've kind of fallen back, and that's just it. So it's time to get out of there. Now, if you get caught the first time, it's over. I'm sorry, but like, I don't think it's necessary, because there's always going to be, a lack of trust. You're always going to be thinking, okay, when's the next person going to get into her life that she's going to cheat on me with, or his life that he's going to cheat on me with? And it just becomes a downward spiral. When you're, yeah, so realistically, it's like, okay, time to leave the relationship, heal properly, right? Like, maybe seek therapy if you have that available to you. Like I said earlier, with like that type of stuff, letting go, like journaling, writing letters to your ex and not sending them, and because you're never gonna get a why, you're never gonna get a reason they did it, you're never gonna get a proper apology, because no matter what they say, it's not gonna mean anything to you, because they hurt you so bad. Being on both sides of something like that is just terrible. Both sides of, like, oh, being like part of the, like, what do you mean by that? Elaborate on that a little bit, like, just so that I can get a better understanding, because I'm kind of curious. Like both sides, like being cheated on and then being the cheater as well. The controlling part of relationships are terrible. Always thinking, always wondering. I was there before in different relationships, but this one I'm in now never gave me a reason to worry. She goes, again, I never have to worry. It's the best, which is great. And that's the beauty of being in a actual proper adult relationship, and like also not allowing insecurities, if there were any, to overwhelm you, and dealing with those insecurities if they were ever there. And how you're saying, like earlier, like, you have to understand that if people want to cheat, they will cheat, and it just comes down to a relationship as a whole. But you should also be able to identify those things, right? Obviously you won't when it's the first time being cheated on, but you will as you continue to date people, and you'll be able to understand, okay, this person isn't just like, they're not the best, right? How can someone let someone cheating on their spouse fall in love with them knowing they're in a relationship? How can someone let someone cheating on their spouse knowing they're in a relationship? All two sides cheated on a home record. So let's see. So how can someone, let's break it down for the first side, right? So how can someone let someone cheating on their spouse fall in love with them, right? Knowing they're in a relationship. So a lot of times, I don't know personally. Realistically, I think it comes down to the fact that like you're trying to get them to understand that they're wrong. Like some people may just like let someone fall in love with them to make them understand like, hey, like what is, like you're doing the wrong thing, like you're ruining something that you have right now for something that's never going to happen. Because personally, like I know for myself that I could never actually officially be with someone who cheats, right? Like I've been the person who has been cheated on. I've also been the person who has found out that the person I was sleeping with was cheating on their partner with me. And the crazy thing about that is that I didn't even know until like the last time we were together. It was actually crazy because we would just never would talk outside of that, right? It was no personal connection, no nothing. But I agree, Sean. If you find somebody like that, never let them go. I think it's a beautiful thing. And when you're cheated on, like the person who's cheated on, like that you get cheated on with, or like if you're cheated on, um, it's interesting. I think that you're definitely making the situationship worse between the two partners. But until that person understands what they're doing, they're going to continue to do it, right? And once they finally like understand, oh crap, like I'm really messing up, right? It's normally too late, and like you will get people who will cling on and try to hold on, right? Like so if you're being cheated on and you're holding on to somebody who's cheating on you, you're hoping and grasping at straws, and you're creating this reality in your mind that, oh well, once he's over this person or she's over this person, they're just going to disappear, right? Or they're going to come back and be in love with you as much as they were before, and that's just unrealistic. It doesn't happen that way. There's always going to be a lack of trust, and you're always going to be worrying about who's next. And the homewrecker, the person who was doing like being with the cheater, I think that is that's just based on the moral compass of that person. But at the same time, if the person that is cheating is expressing consistently that they aren't in love with their partner, they don't want to be with their partner anymore, but they don't know what else to do, then it just shows the lack of maturity on their end, right? Like, they need to search for ways to get out of it, right? Or like figure a way to make things end cordially, because obviously you're not in love with that person anymore, and you shouldn't be there if that's the case, and allow them to be free and sow their oats. No, it definitely is a no-no, and it's just something that does happen, and unfortunately it's a very common thing, and it's been happening for years. Just social media makes it so much more prominent because you're able to share so much information to so many different platforms, and then once that information is out there, it doesn't go away. So you're designated as a cheater, you're designated as this. But like if you go back to the 1950s, the nuclear family, the mom stays home and cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids, and the dad goes to work. The father would cheat on the husband all the time. And then, with like a secretary or somebody they meet at a bar after work getting drinks, or the wife would cheat with the mailman or the milkman or whatever, or somebody that they see at the store that, they have time for them, right? This person had time for me. They were willing to give me the attention I needed. And it's like, but if you communicated that, you would have been able to figure something out. And right, get that head, get that bread, then leave. Chuck up the deuces, call it a day. I couldn't agree more. So, But yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting concept. So, but I will leave you all with this, that I think this was a great episode today. A great first live YouTube stream. Another, another one's going to be coming out. We're going to be doing another one next Sunday. Keep in tune live. That's what's going to be the title. And we're just going to talk about things. We're just going to talk about topics. You know what I mean? And all that stuff. So, all right. So Tim, growing up seeing stuff like that has me so scared to get into relationships, and gives me an actual hatred for cheaters / homewreckers, because why can't people see it's wrong? The reason why people can't see it's wrong is because, well, in my personal opinion, they think that they know what's best. They think that they can do these things and get away with it, and there's no repercussions. They don't see people are advantageous, and they're also forced by their desires, right? Influenced by their desires. And I think that desires sometimes overwhelm the rational mindset. And that you can see that today with how sexualized everything is, and how physical looks and stuff like that overcome mental stability, mental growth, and moral and character and stuff like that. So I think it's another thing that people don't understand, is that their desires are overpowering their actual morals and ethics. So, and I'm going to leave you guys with that. So I appreciate you guys coming in. I appreciate you stopping in and chatting. I love talking about this stuff, and I love getting into the conversations. I think it's important, and I think that it's helpful for people to be able to vent and talk it out and get it out of their minds. So, it's going to constantly come up, and things like this are an experience that are going to come up, right? Like, if you do, your choices create your thoughts, and your thoughts come back when you least expect it, and that's okay. There are ways to deal with it, and if you need to talk to me about it, that's what I'm going to be here for. I'm not a professional. I'm going to disclose with that. I can't, give you 100% advice that's going to work, but I can give you ideas and plans that I did that helped me. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next time. And remember, if you want to stay in tune, you got to keep in tune with Carl Schmidt. I'll talk to you guys soon.